All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are back and we are live for another episode of the Weekly Roundup. I'm your host, as always, Steve, being joined by not my regular co-pilot for this evening. Zach is off calling balls and strikes. My man, my man TF here, otherwise known as Johnny Quan's going to be filling in this afternoon. So, fam, show Johnny some love this afternoon. He's going to be trying to fill Zach's shoes. And Johnny, appreciate you hopping on and sharing the airwaves with me.
Hey, not a problem, Steven. Not a problem. We go back like flapjacks, baby. You know what I'm saying? So they're large shoes to fill. Zach's an amazing man, but I'll do my best.
Absolutely, man. Definitely appreciate it, and hopefully Zach can get here before we end. He might not. We'll see how games go. Baseball, you know how that goes. It could be real quick. It could be long, especially when you're calling games in Florida. So,
Oh yeah, extra innings, baby. You know how that is.
We'll see Zach back here next week, but we're gonna have some fun this week. We're gonna be talking some Eagles football. We're gonna be interviewing BKB fighter Brittany Hart. She's gonna be joining us, and we're also gonna be talking some NBA news, some Sixers basketball as well. But real quick, let's get into our sponsor for this afternoon. And we are brought to you by our doc, make him your doc, Dr. Paul Vidal, Specialized Physical Therapy, LLC, Burlington, Cherry Hill, and Princeton locations. Find them on the web, specializedphysicaltherapy.com. And we're gonna get into some Eagles talk, and I know a lot of our Eagles fans got some venom to spread about that, and they're on the bye week here, so it's a little bit slow. So some of us are going to be dealing with a little bit more nonsense than usual. But you know how it is in Philadelphia. We love our teams, we hate our teams. But I'm going to say this, Eagles got some things to work on. It's the bye week. It ain't easy, but it's definitely something that can be righted, and it's something we're going to get into here in a minute. But what do you think, Johnny? Like, I know we're gonna break it down, but I know you're kind of the outsider looking in a lot of this. You're not from the Philadelphia area. You see the heat that the national media bring them upon down on CW. You have the nonsense coming out of Stephen A. Smith's mouth as we should give him a hard time as much as we give Donovan. I don't know if bringing in a second round draft pick this year wasn't a hard time enough. Calling for him to be benched for him isn't hard enough. In the fact that if you look at Donovan's fifth year numbers and Carson's fifth year's numbers, Donovan was having a worse year.
Well, I mean, when you sit back and you look at it, you have to, like you said, you have to look at the body of work. The hardest thing to do is when you start to compare, because it's a different time. The athletes are bigger, stronger, faster. Carson is definitely a different animal than Donovan by far. They have completely different skill sets and tools that they have to work with. So, I mean, when you sit back and look at it, I mean, Carson literally has that team in the best position they can be in under the circumstances. You can't fault him for stuff he cannot control.
Absolutely. I mean, there's stuff that you could fault him for that is under his control. Let's be absolutely fair here. He's got some things to work out this past week, and hopefully he worked on it. And we'll get into that poll question here, and that's brought to you by Ambuck Services. That's AMBUCK Services. Call Mike White and Bros. Tell me A2D sent you 20% off your gutters, anything around the house. He's got you covered. That's AmbuckServices.com. And that poll question is a late season resurgence on Carson Wentz's shoulder not team health? Agree, disagree? Mr. Johnny Quantum, let's hear your thoughts on that one.
Well, I would go with the arm. So I would have to say that it's all on his arm. He's going to have to stay healthy. He's proven he can win under injuries. He's been doing it for a season and a half now. So, I mean, with a division like that that's up for grabs, as long as he can keep that arm, that shoulder, he can keep himself healthy. He's a big boy. He can take the hits. That's not a problem. He's mobile. It's just he's going to have to be able to literally learn when not to thread the needle too much. He's got a big arm. And that's where the problems come in. But he's proven he can win games. He's proven he can come back, and that's the key. As long as he can keep them in the game in the fourth quarter, his arm will guide him to victory. That's a proven fact. And look, bringing up Stephen A, as Max Kellerman would say, the numbers prove it.
Yeah, we're bringing it back in, and then you drop Max's name, which is kind of a stir pot right now in Philadelphia, because he's sitting there doing the national media thing, and that's why I like talking to people outside the box that who have a level-headed mind and clear thinking and can see the picture outside of what the national perception of this team and what Carson Wentz is. A lot of people sitting there. We should trade for Nick Foles, as Max Kellerman, so put. And hey, doesn't he look like he's about to be benched here? Or did I miss that? What's up, Chromie? Chromie's down in Florida enjoying his vacation right now. What's up, brother?
Bench him? No. Look. At the end of the day, you put Carson Wentz on any other NFL team, and no one's saying a word. A word. So, look. Max says things that gets him some stuff. You know what I'm saying? Indeed.
Now, all right. So I'm going to sit there and say I'm going to have to agree that regardless of injury, we've already seen this team's already decimated down to nothing. So it really, we can't really put the injury thing there anymore. We've already seen him do it. He's starting to get guys back healthy too. You're going to get some health back on that line. You have to kind of figure out what your rotation's going to be there. You're going to get Miles back. I mean, Rager's going to be back. You already seen what the emergence of what Travis Fulgham has done. You're going to get Zach Ertz back at some point here in time, and Dallas Goedert, at least in my opinion, is the heir apparent on what's going to happen here in the tight end position. And and Rodgers hasn't looked too bad here in injuries of both of them. So, I think if the injury didn't happen, we probably wouldn't be talking about Zach Ertz here in Philadelphia as right now. But, situations happen. And, I think more of an off-season draft day trade is kind of in order. This team has a cap mess here.
I mean, look. To the outside world, like you said, to those who are not sports enthusiasts, they would definitely say dumpster fire. The whole division, you would say, is a dumpster fire. But
we're the king of the dumpster fire right now.
Right. But if you're a sports enthusiast, you really watch it, and you're a true sports fan, you see a lot of potential. You see a lot of what's to come. Put it this way: he's doing what Brady did in New England. He's taking guys that literally got signed up outside at the gas station on the way to the game, and somehow is not only keeping them in games, but finding ways to win them. That is something that you really have to bring to the table and have to talk about at the end of the day. You know what I mean? And look, the defense, but when they need a key stop at the end of the game, it seems like when they show up in the fourth quarter, they show up in the fourth quarter. They show up when they need to. When the game.
But here's the other thing: like as good as he's been, as good as he's elevated some of these guys and stuff like that, his mistakes has left this team in a bad position. If you look at numbers wise, they have I think a top 5 defense. I think it's like 3 or something like that.
Yeah.
So if Carson just kind of, and what he's doing is kind of what a lot of what Donovan did a lot of his time here was just trying to do everything himself. And just he's being a little bit too much of a Brett Favre as being a gunslinger and really getting himself in trouble. You got to remember how long it took Brett to get that under control before he actually started putting the big numbers and started to build up the legend that was his NFL career. So like in a lot of senses, I take similarities between the two. I still think, right now, some of those mistakes are absolutely inexcusable. I still think he's fallen into a lot of what he did last season, which when he comes to the line and does his check and his adjustments, like he say, okay, I'm going to the tight end or I'm going to the slot receiver here. And when these plays breaking down and you see, regardless if it's the, something going on with the line or you just get a good rush on him and he rolls out and then he rolls to a side where there's no one on the field. It's like, what are you going to do? But it's at the same time, like he has to make that choice to not force the ball in there. It's either run it, throw it away or do whatever. He can't be forcing these balls in here where he's trying to say like, oh, my guy's going to go up and make that play, regardless if it's Travis Fulgham, regardless if it's Jalen Reagor or whatever. He has to get this in a situation where he has to say, let's get him next time.
Well, look, as we all know, and the comparison to Brett Favre is so accurate because he's got that arm. He is a gunslinger in his heart of hearts, and that's what he does, and he does it well. The only problem is, like you said again, it's the maturity. It's that, okay, I know I have a big arm. I know I can throw it, fling it 60 yards off my back foot with no problem, but he's got to realize while he's on the run, so's everybody else moving to the same side of the field as he is. So by the time people see him moving, they move with him. He's throwing interceptions that just have me scratching my head. Like,
I agree with Matthew's point right here, where I still think it's a fine balance between Carson, kind of trying to be the playmaker, doing too much, and Doug putting him in right play calls and right positions with right guys on the field. Like some of the stuff, it's a little balance between both of them, between poor play calling and poor execution between quarterback, coach, and the rest of your skill position players. Well, it's something that they have to clean up this week leading up to this game.
Oh yeah, well they have to. I mean, they don't have an option. I mean, again, that division is still wide open.
No matter what happens this week, we're still being first place. We have the Giants and the Browns in the next 2 weeks. I still think after that is where the Eagles really have to steal a win or two. Yeah. Somewhere between that and you're playing Seattle. I think that's here, which is luckily, but you have to go to Green Bay. You have to go to Arizona. Arizona game is something I still think is winnable considering Tyler Murray. That's still a big defensive front. He has to get that ball over. I hope you should be able to kind of get some hands up on some bad balls on that guy.
Well, the thing is with Kyler Murray, the Eagles got to keep him in the pocket. Because the minute you let him out of the pocket,
yeah, if he gets to the linebackers, it's goodbye.
It's a problem. He's a problem. But the thing is that defense holds when it needs to. They come up with those timely stops, and they're playing it all like that's why I believe it all goes back to Carson's arm. He's got to learn to kind of breathe deeply, not push it too hard, but again, he's got to know when to push it. You know what I mean? Like, okay, look, if I'm gonna take that shot down the field, take it. But I have to take my hat off to the man for playing with guys that literally were at the playground 20 minutes ago.
All right, now I think that's the other thing. Now you also guy outside looking in, you have to look at Travis Fulgham, and you're starting to see a lot of guys around the league starting to compare him to a lot of names that he shouldn't be compared in the season. And a lot of guys on here, a lot of guys throughout the city, I think, have already kind of anointed him something. And I still think we still need to see a body work, see him do it for another season before we start throwing around the Randy Moss and T.O. comparison. And he goes up and gets a ball like Larry. Like, listen, he has amazing tools, and Carson is using him to his fullest capability. I think Jalen Reagor compliments him really well. And the fact that you have Ward out there and you're going to get guys with, that you could rotate in and out there like Alshon Jeffrey and Deshaun Jackson, I think could make this team really fun to look at if they can get everything together.
Oh, if they got if they were a whole unit, they might lose 2 games all season. They might even set scoring records because that passing game then opens it up for Miles to just eat all day, every
And that's
day.
the other thing about it. Like you also the misuse of the running back situation, the underplayment of running back 2 and 3 because I still think Boston Scott should definitely have a place on this team. I'm not sure what Corey Clement is really doing for you sometimes. I know sometimes it's really rough, and a lot of people love him and for good reason, but it's rough, man.
When you look at it, the NFL shifted. The NFL's it went to the small back, and now it's gone back to the 2-back platoon system, big back, little back. But now the big backs nowadays still run 4.6 40s.
Yeah, I got you there, Matt. And there's nothing wrong with that either. He's a younger, more agile Alshon Jeffrey. There's nothing wrong with that. There's not.
No, dude. Alshon Jeffries, I've watched that man make catches, and I'm like, how did he jump that high? Like, I knew he had hops, but throughout his career, I'm like, did that happen?
I mean, I think Alshon really when his career is over, that catch over Eric Rowe in the back of the end zone will probably be his. You probably will see more green on that highlight than you'll see of anything else, regardless if he gets traded here and goes somewhere else and whatever the future holds for him. But I still think Travis, that's a really fair assessment from Matt there, and I think there's nothing wrong with that. And as he said of it, in what he's sitting there saying, what Chromie's saying here, if it's in the vicinity of Alshon Jeffrey, it's a hell of a thing, man. So
you got, and
that means all that production's here instead of down there in Chicago.
You got to look time. So if he's being compared already to Alshon Jeffries look.
Well, the other names are still way early to do that.
Yeah, just imagine what he's going to become as long as they can keep it together. And from the way it looks, Deshaun, if he comes out, will he ever be the same?
No, come on. Let's be honest. As much as he's tatted during the offseason that he felt this and that and the third, like, listen, the miles are starting to count up, the hits are starting to count up, and it's just not the same. And I still think he should be kind of like on a pitch count type of thing where he takes X amount of snaps, but when they're meaningful ones, like if it's either he's the decoy on the play or he's the one that's kind of the primary or secondary target on the play. So you have to work things out because these younger guys who've already gotten in deserve this time where you've seen, Jordan Mailata, who all intents and purposes won that left tackle job, in my opinion. Regardless of when Andre Diller comes back, and then Jason Peter comes back, and luckily for him, Lane goes out right before the game, and he still gets to play. But in my opinion, you should have moved it. Peters, and you have a situation there, even moving in the future, where you have some depth there at offensive line. You're getting a chance to look at some of these guys. You have to look at that silver lining, but you have to put wins together, and it's arguably, I think we have the second toughest schedule remaining in the NFL.
Yes, easily. When you sit back and look at it, is it okay? Is it doable? Yes. And I agree with you wholeheartedly. They're gonna have to steal a win. And even then, the playoffs are going to be a tall.
Well, I mean, here's the thing: it'll be here the first game, and I think we could win a game here, regardless of who the other team, who the wild card winner, regardless of it being an NFC West team or not. Like it's one of these. Like even if the Rams come back in here, I still think we can come back in here because this is what the Eagles are. One of these teams they start to put things together later on in the year. They've always have. Even the 17 season when we went on that run, even those early games, they weren't pretty.
No,
like remember the game in Carolina that we won? I think it was the Thursday night. It wasn't a pretty win.
No.
But it was one of these things like they put it together. They went out to putting the points together. The defense got stops, etc. One like where you would get these team wins, and then later in the season, like you'd have those games where the Bronco game where they blow them at the water, and everyone thought Von Miller was gonna have some fun, and now you got Lane Johnson having that big old hand smack against him. That's one of those gifts you see, but it's one of these things where you haven't been able to put it together since then. Early in the season to get those team wins to get you into those later part of the season where you could lose that.
No, you're absolutely right. And again, the beautiful part is they do play better late in the year. Plus, what works to their advantage, they'll be getting people back slowly. So the thing is, again, watch your people, watch the pitch.
Brother. What's up, Tommy?
Watch the pitch count, because you're gonna have to keep these guys healthy even late in the season.
I'm absolutely upset, Michael. I mean, if you think about it, like, what do we get? We got the releasing of Kroom and then re-signing him to the practice squad. I mean, that's basically. I mean, and I kind of predicted this. I thought we would need to make little to no move, regardless of the cap situation. Once you had the injuries to the guys that were kind of your pieces to kind of move around and it kind of didn't materialize. I just thought he would stay pat. I was actually surprised that we didn't sell something, even regardless of the fact to kind of pick up a draft pick here and there. And
well, I mean, do you think now again, being the outsider looking in, do you think Carson should go the route of Tom Brady and say, check this out, let's restructure my deal, I'm gonna give you some money back?
I mean, I think we've already seen that from Fletcher Cox to kind of move money around. You thought something was going to happen when they did that. You've seen like guys like that to kind of move things around, and I think Carson would even I think he definitely would move money around to try to keep Zach here in particular. But I mean, he's going to need some help from some of these guys in that aspect. I don't know if it really affected whether he made a move or not. I really think that honestly they thought they were going to stay pat with what they had, regardless of injury or otherwise, especially after like I said, the guys like Jeffrey and Ertz, who were kind of those names you were seeing thrown around that might be moved, got injured. So we're pretty much riding at what we got now. We definitely need a bell cow, somebody who can get you 3 to 4 yards in between the tackles would have been really nice. The guy you let walk away here, Jordan Howard, was available apparently. Even somebody at linebacker. Even the fact, I mean, I don't know what's going on here. You heard Vic Beasley was let go down there. I think it was Miami. He was at.
I think so. I believe.
Yeah,
so.
I think he was just like. I mean, I don't know what's there, what happened with that, but I mean, somebody to kind of give a spark on the other side of the ball from the linebacker position.
Yeah,
because I mean, like, and then you still have to think, Slay's been nicked up this year. You haven't been getting him all as you needed, so you need to find out.
Yes. Oh, by far. I agree. Moves should have been made. More should have been done.
Now, like I said, outsider looking in, we've said what we said. We looked at it. What adjustments would you say needs to be happening? And do you think that they can make a run and become a playoff team and at least win that home playoff game if winning the division?
I definitely see the running game, just like you said, has got to become more prevalent. You know what I mean? Has to, because if you rely on Carson to take you from this point all the way through the rest of the season and the playoffs, you're asking for a world of hurt, because it's just too much. You allow the defense to just pin their ears back and play go get him. And he's a big guy. Can he take the hits? Yep. But do you really want him taking the hits? And do you really want him scrambling around back there, possibly having to run? Because we all know he tries to be Superman. And I don't blame him. He's got skills and the built to do it. The only problem is, look, man, when guys hit you and they're as big as you, and Carson's the size of a linebacker, it's a lot different. They're trying to literally take limbs home with them when they hit that man. So, I mean, I literally would just pump up the running game, which is why making moves.
But even you look at some of these losses, when you go back and look at it, it's actually balanced when it winds up playing out. Like the last loss, it was actually before, they got into desperation mode. It was a balanced attack. So like, as much as we harp on it, at the same time, you have to look at it and see what it is. It still goes down to execution, play calling, and having that breakdown on the offensive line where Brooks isn't there. You still have that situation over a left guard. We're also going to have to address the fact that at some point in time we're going to wind up losing Jason Kelce at some point in time over the next few years.
Yeah.
So it's one of these things. Like there's things to be addressed, and
it boils. Honestly, I'm gonna use a very bad word. Stop the turnovers.
He's got to stop gunslinging. I mean, I'm wrong with him. Don't get me wrong. He's my guy. I like the guys that are calling for other quarterbacks at the time. Like, stop it, dude. He's your guy. You're gonna have to ride with him. Yep. This is with this regime. You're going to be with him at least for the next 2 years.
Oh, so minimum. If they can minimize the turnovers, they bury teams. Bury them. But it's minimizing the turnovers.
It's probably the hardest thing that you have to do with a guy like that, especially with everything that's going on around him and stuff like that, to just try to get him to slow it down enough to make the right decision, not the gunslinger decision.
But hey, is that on him or is that on the coach for not bringing him in the office and sitting him down?
But how much can you rein in a gunslinger, bro?
Look, like you said,
did Favre ever get under control? Honestly,
okay. Look, to the general public appearance, yes, but was he really ever under control? Never. You can never tame a Mustang. Sorry, it may look like you've tamed that Mustang. That Mustang is going to do what it's going to do regardless. Carson Wentz is that guy, and he's always going to be that guy. The thing is, you got to put him in positions to where being that guy works for you in your offense. Go get a bunch of guys that can take the top off the defense and just let him do what he do. Because he's got a sweet deep ball, boy, let me tell you.
It is, and it's tough because you see some of those plays where Hightower, you've seen it a couple of times in that Dallas game where he just stopped on some of them balls, and you don't get a first down here, you wind up throwing us in this interception there. It's going back to that experience. Sometimes you can't quit on that route just for the simple fact to knock the ball away so the defender doesn't get there.
Right.
You can't quit on the route just for the simple fact that maybe you don't get the first down, but it's enough to put you in a better position for a field goal or this, that, and the third. You've seen that happen with some of these guys, and you've seen some rookie mistakes from them. It's growing pains. You're gonna have to deal with some of these guys, but again, I think you have to be encouraged with the defensive line play. I mean, I'm still gonna sit there and say my, I guess, MVPs of the season so far, in special teams. As soon as Rudy Ford got back here, you haven't really seen any nonsense returns. I'm really liking what I've seen back him. Hopefully, we can continue to get that performance out of him. Defensive MVP, it absolutely has to be Brandon Graham. He is on his way to get his 10-sack season finally. Because I think he's at 7.5 now, and we got half the season to go. And I think he's got some offensive lines where he's going to have some fun with. I still see him getting two against the Cardinals and Kyle Murray. I'm going to call it now.
Well, it's definitely possible. Being a left-handed quarterback, I think will work into that favor, and I think he will get some action. I agree with that. Oh yeah, you can never harness a gunslinger, man. Never, ever.
I mean, and the offensive MVP, I think you absolutely have to say, it's Travis Fulgham. You can't, over that period of time since he's been in the league, I think no one's out caught him, gamed him, yacked him, nothing.
Even a blind man could make that call. Seriously, yes, and you go to Travis Fulgham, yes, because look, he's doing stuff that's you're not expecting it. Look, if you would have told me his name when the season started, I was like, who? Where'd you find him at? What?
And he's really, besides Carson, has been the guy who's kind of stepped up. Miles has been hurt. Hopefully, when he gets back in the second half of the season, he can kind of give him another outlet that way.
Yeah.
So, but absolutely Travis Fulgham. And, biggest disappointment, I'm absolutely not going to say Carson Wentz. I'm going to just sit there and say this coaching staff, point blank and period. It don't matter if we're talking about head coach, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, the trainer, the water boy. They've all been an utter disappointment.
Look, some of these third down calls literally has me like, seriously? I mean, did you not know that you were third and long? Like, did you not get it? Or better yet, did you not think that they knew you were going to go with a screen pass?
Which, by the way, the screen hasn't worked for not for damn for us this season. Not for damn. It's basically like they're basically telegraphing it to the point where the guy's like, come on, man, we already got this.
Right,
where seasons past, it didn't matter if you didn't know they were doing the screen or not. They were just running it down your throat. You don't have the offensive line to do that. So it is taking another weapon, another tool of this offense that you have where you absolutely have to get these production from these other guys.
Yeah. By far. So yeah, I would have to agree with that. Biggest disappointment. I mean, it even last
season, not this season, Michael. Next season, if he makes it through this season and he's still doing when next season starts, that's when the expectation is okay. That's what you produced last season. This is what we expect from you this season.
Yeah,
that's when the expectations for his consistent production. And so, because he's still got, I still think he's going to have games where he's going to run into tough corners, tough defenses, and he's not going to be able to get the normal production. And Wentz is going to have to lean on some of these other guys, the other outlets to pick up the slack. Where he's had to look at guys like Hightower and make some of those plays because they've been leaning that coverage to Fulgham. So that's something that this team has to kind of prepare for, that they're going to game plan and take Fulgham away from us. Where in the past is like, all right, we know they're going to try to take Ertz away from us and take the middle of the field. And that's all what Carson loves, because then that leaves him open to take them shots down the field, which he loves to do.
Yep.
He used to nibble you down, break you down with the play action pass. The fact that we're not running the ball as well, that we're not running as often. The play action pass doesn't mean anything, which I think is really affecting the way this team is coached and the way it's being played is hurting us.
Oh, I agree. But like you said, it goes back to the coaching. They've got a game plan.
Jay, at this point in time, I really wouldn't want to pick because I don't trust Howie to make a pick. I would rather get a guy that we know is going to give us something, not somebody who Howie's going to trade away and get some guy that makes no sense here.
Agreed.
I mean, as much as I would love to sit there and say what his value is, I don't want it. I really, at this point in time, don't trust for it to be a pick. I would rather get somebody back in compensation and get a later round pick where he normally finds someone.
Yeah.
I mean,
you got to think. You said it earlier. Carson's got at least 2 years. It's win now.
And he has to unload money next year to kind of give them more options. If not, it has to be that I don't really think they're going to go after anyone in free agency, but I think, a lot of things depend on what happens this year, how they do in the offseason. And it's really going to be done on those moves that made this team a Super Bowl team in 2017, not the sign this guy and go give this guy money. Is going to be those trades and moving pieces like that more than anything.
Definitely agreed. I mean, they what they need to do is mess around and bring you into the front office.
I mean, I'm not sitting there acting like my football knowledge is off the chart when it comes like that. But at some point in time, you have to wonder what. I think what was the report that came out in Philadelphia that he failed his medical according to the Philly scouts. The DK Metcalf failed his medical. Like these are the people you have around you. And you're wondering why fans get upset when you're sitting there going to want to trade a good commodity that you don't want to resign for picks That's what I'm not up for that. I'm up for give me something back that I know we're going to get, because you have to take the keys away from the main.
Yes. In this respect, change is good.
He does, man. He gets lost, Jay. Listen, as much as he's done for us numbers wise, he's put us in this situation cap wise. You got to remember that this is of his design the last handful of years. It's not like you have to blame this down. He had the chance to straighten it out and situate this is his mess that he's got to clean up now, and then he compounds it with his terrible drafts, and then now you have to supplement it by signing this guy, going to make you. That's why we're here.
Yep.
So you have to go with it. You have to find a way to remedy this during the offseason. There's too much that needs to be fixed, both cap wise, roster wise, coaching wise. I mean, listen, if you don't see a divisional round, I think the defensive Jim Schwartz has had some situations where, even as good as his defense has been, some of the defensive plays have actually cost them more wins than even the terrible play or inconsistent play of Carson throughout the season.
True. Very true.
But I still think Carson gives them a better chance if he corrects his mistakes. Not, you can't really throw it all on them.
Look, would you rather go with Plan B? The second option doesn't exist. You make it work with Carson Wentz, and you make it work with Carson Wentz.
I mean, you have to make it work with him, not just contract wise, but I just think you kind of owe it to him for just because you have to continue to bring this Hurts kid in for what?
Well, honestly,
he has like he gives you a different look, but that doesn't work anymore. That kind of play has kind of been caught up already on throughout the NFL. So that person that you're looking for isn't really there.
Well, you got to think. Hurts now becomes a possible trade bait option. Quarterbacks get hurt. Round lead.
So you're gonna and you're not gonna give him back to Dallas because we already know that's already been thrown around now this week. And then you have the other thing here. So you got this one. Howie's accountability question. Now his nose is so brown from being up Lori's butt that he ain't going anywhere. Mike. Come on, let's be honest. Doug's going before Howie's going. As much as it pains me to say that, because I still think it's something. As lost as Doug finds himself at some point in time with the play calling, etc., he still has other attributes that I still think are something that are better off said to the table than what's being brought here by this.
Again,
what do you think going to hold him accountable?
No, look, change is good. And see, this is what gets me my time living in Pennsylvania. You know what I'm saying? So I got a chance to interact and go to some games and see some things. And I'll tell you what, I'm surprised they haven't run him out of town. Just saying.
Oh, Howie?
Yeah.
I mean, we're trying to. Most of us are trying to.
Because that's a city in which you really got to come correct when it comes to your teams. If you don't come correct, they have no problem letting you know and being very boisterous about it.
All right, so Mike personally thinks that it was a massive fail to pass on Jefferson for the gadget guy in Reagor. However, like we're saying, Fulgham is legit. Reagor, stretches the field. Maybe make a career like Torrey Smith. Maybe we forget the passing on Jefferson.
I look. You might forget
like DK, yeah. So, I'm with you there, Mike. But it's one of these things where you shouldn't have to put yourself in that position where you should already had that guy. Granted, now when we're going back and looking at it, when it comes time to sign Fulgham, we're going to get him at a much cheaper price, and Howie's going to try to make him look like some genius in that way. And this is why I say that he's still gonna get through this. But both Howie and Doug, regardless who wants to hold who accountable here. But
well,
he put himself in this position. We're going to see how this team's going to either be ripped apart or reconfigured after the season, because things have to happen.
After the year that DJ Metcalf is having so far, Howie will never live that will never get lived down. Ever.
Every time that happens, everyone in the city is going to be like, JJ Osego-Whiteside, really?
You know what I'm saying? Like, you did. Yeah. Look, you have players that are generational. He happens to be one of those guys. But he didn't pass his physical.
I mean, hey, I'm with you. He's always Doug, but also you got to remember Doug's also a quarterback. He's always going to favor the pass over the run, no matter how much we want to sit there
always
and call for it. As much as we want it, that's just the way it's gonna be, and especially the way that offense is developed.
Yeah,
like a lot of it's single back sets. I don't think you ever really see anyone. The fullback is almost done in most offenses in the NFL. Stay for a few systems, but like it's one of these things where you kind of knew when we had that 1-2 punch last season with Jordan and Miles that it wasn't going to be something that would last, and you hope they can find somebody, later on, you get somebody develop, and then you see they keep a guy like Elijah Holyfield around. You wonder what they're doing. Like, I'm not sitting there saying like he's going to be the answer, but I still think he's still a guy that can give you what you need as far as that bruising guy through the tackles.
Well, you cannot keep running Miles through the tackles. You can't. If you're trying to end his career at that point.
I mean, like, listen, I'll never forgive him either, because that'll be something that production is real nice, and even looking at some remorse of what the season Jefferson is having. That's only probably because Rager's been injured. He looked really good to us those first few games until the injury. He's a tough kid. In as far as on the football field and all that. So we'll see, man. You never know.
Time will tell. Time tells all tales.
Yeah, 31 teams did pass on him, but that's also because they didn't have him ranked as a number one talent.
Look, if you look at it, was his college career stellar? No, it wasn't. Did he have a good year? Oh, he had a magnificent year. But when you look at a guy like that, the first thing you look at, okay, he's hype. Why is he hype? Because basically, he can't catch. That was the thing. He doesn't have hands. Well, let's see. It's called an offseason. It's called trainers. It's called when you get paid millions of dollars and you're paying somebody millions of dollars, you make sure they can catch, because that was all he was missing. He's got the size. He's got the speed. We just saw that speed on display. Oh, and guess what now? He can catch a ball. I'm pretty sure Doug could have got him to catch a ball. I'm pretty sure. That's just my opinion.
I mean, you just have to think with Howie's track record of wide receiver. This is why you just have to be thankful and hope Reger is at least a guy that could stretch the field for you at least. And maybe you have something to look at the future, like I said, with Fogel and with Ward, and you kind of see whoever else in that rotation can give you good looks. It's not too bad. Just kind of fix the offensive line a little bit. Like I said,
they've got nice young core pieces to build around. They've just got to continue to build it. And what's crazy is they're a playoff team now. So just imagine healthy. Now, mind you, I didn't say how many games in the playoff they win, but they're a playoff team now. So you get them a couple more pieces. You get some health back, not even at full strength. I'd say give them 70%. Give them 70% with one or two more pieces. They're in the second round of the playoffs with no problem. No problem.
Are we really throwing the Nelly's playing well in Vegas thing like it's an actual thing? I mean, I would have went with the with the LJ Fort thing before I would have went with the Nelly thing. I mean, you act like he's their number one like target right now. Okay, he's doing what he did here.
Yeah.
Let's not forget that he had to be benched, taken off the field for a couple games, and had to go see a sports psychiatrist.
Yeah,
like listen, and I love what Nelly did for us that Super Bowl year. He was clutch when we needed him to be, but like stop using that comparison, please. He's having some good performances. Isn't like, we're talking about it like the Raiders are a playoff team right now, and that they're gonna be a force to be reckoned with in the playoffs because they have Nelson Aguilar. Please stop, guys. Please, I love you.
No, look, does a change of environment do people good sometimes?
Yeah, absolutely.
For 1 year. Let's look at next year and see what he's doing then. I don't think he'll do as well. Plus, he's coming over to a different. Plus, he came over to a different conference, so he's going to have that year where corners they're not familiar with him. They're going to get used to him, and then it's going to go right back to fumble fingers, Nelly.
I mean, like, and I think that's pretty much what Cromer's getting to right here. So listen, love him, wish him the best. Hopefully he can bring some success to the Raiders again down there in Vegas. I do. I have no ill will towards Nelly, man. at the end of the day, he helped bring a Super Bowl here. He moved on. Wish you all the best. When your career is over, let's come on A2D radio and talk and have some fun and laugh about all the stupid stuff Philly fans used to say to you.
Right?
I mean, seriously, I haven't like when it comes to a lot of these guys that hold hate towards some of these people. It's absolutely. I mean, I know it's the fan in us, and I know it's the passion in us, but sometimes there's no need for it. Just move on, people. Come on.
Right. Look, you gotta let it go. He's not here. You gotta
let the people who are still mad at Tio and Donovan. I can't like listen. And now I'm from that's my era. I can't relate with you guys. Like, yeah, they probably cost us a Super Bowl, but things happen, that we can't control. They can't control. It happened. I'm not gonna sit there and act like the devil incarnate. I never want to hear or speak to him again. Right. We all have stories to tell. There might be a wrinkle to that we never know that eventually comes out. Like, oh, that's why it happened.
Always is.
There's always an untold story to it. Outside of the fist fight in the locker room and everything else in between.
Right. I mean, those things that come out 10 years, 15 years later, somebody writes a book and you're like, that makes sense. Hey, if that book comes out, I'll buy it.
And everyone, the people who steps over these guys who were on Super Bowl team, it's okay to be thankful for the contribution that year, but hold them accountable for the rest of the tenure. Absolutely. Yep. It's one of these things, I kind of think that Carson got put in a weird situation because of the injury, because of Nick being the Jeff Hostetler of the 2010s.
Yeah,
I mean, come on. Trent Dilfer was the ones of the 2000s. We all have had those quarterbacks who were literally the best relief pitchers that we ever seen that season. Let's also not forget that we still have people that are publicly calling for this guy, and he still makes the same the same mistakes that drove us nuts here. Pressure comes on, is throwing off that back foot and just having bad interceptions. Carson's still having a bad year mechanically wise too, but he normally cleans it up around midway through the season. It's something that we like. Even during that the Super Bowl game, Nick had some horrendous throws off the back foot that just happened to hit pay dirt. People forget about this
quickly. By the way, I might add.
Listen, ever ran into Nick, definitely buy him a beer. Not, statue premature. Don't think we needed that. That's something we could have did when he retired. It would have been nice.
Yeah.
Not something you'd have to hold over Carson's head and have the media hold over Carson's head and, have this kind of like proverbial monkey on your back. When those guys love each other too, it's kind of one of those weird things, man. One of those weird things. Oh, what's up, Big Pete? What's up?
But at the end of the day,
All right, Kobe Bryant Jr. 24. Carson's gonna figure things out. Finally, at least he stopped throwing consecutive interceptions. but he did. What was that? He wanted to do a lot to blow out the Cowboys? Listen, man, like you can't listen. I get those things. I do. When you get hyped up for those games, and you've seen it on the defense, they were roaring and ready to go. But it's also one of those things where you at some point in time you have to check yourself. Yeah. Like after that the one the Reger he kind of brought it back in, and there wasn't really a whole lot of dumb mistakes, but his play didn't kind of correct from there. He was still having those things where he's only looking at half the field. He cannot continue to do that. He has to stop doing that moving forward.
Well, I mean, defenses, corners, even linebackers dropping into coverage are starting to understand. And the minute they see him do a certain thing, human beings are creatures of habit. So the minute Carson does that move, they move. He's going to have to change it up a little bit. But, again, I agree. He's going to figure it out because he always does.
How about this one? Wentz is not the problem. Doug is. Doug just needs to find the balance. You got to remember, he has an offensive line that's continually switching around. Granted, we've already sit there and say he has some bonehead calls. He does.
Yes.
He's not a genius, a wizard. The next, this, that, and the third. He promised us this was supposed to be the new norm, and all I've seen is mediocre. Let's be honest. And I don't think that's necessarily just a fault on Doug and his play calling. His injuries contributed to it. Playing better teams who were just on a run. That New Orleans team that we lost to the following season, they were just a better team that year. They were hot. Alvin Kamara is the truth, and we're gonna have to deal with that again this season.
Yes.
And he's gonna freaking make our linebackers look like a bunch of freaking guys running around wearing tutus. Guess what? That's gonna happen, and he does it to everybody. These are just one of those teams you just have to find a way to win on the scoreboard and get enough stops to win the game. Yeah. And it's one of those games that you're going to have to try to steal.
Yep.
Green Bay, New Orleans, Arizona are all games you have to try to find one or two to steal.
Yeah, but I would put the game that they steal has got to be on Doug's back. He's going to have to find a way to outcoach the opponent.
Now, I agree with you. There is absolutely no reason why Doug can't tweak it to Carson's strength in the second half of the season and to what his team is. That's the problem with the offense. We've gotten to this point and they still don't have an identity. Don't know what they are. They don't know what they are. And that is why you have a lot of people in the Philadelphia media upset. You have a lot of people in national media, calling for Carson for this, that, and the third. You have to find that identity. They know what they are on defense. They could stop you up front. They can absolutely stop the run. Just if you can find a way to bounce it outside and expose the linebackers through the tight ends and get to some of those smaller cornerbacks and get them on routes where you get them turned around, that teams are gonna make us pay. Everyone don't forget about them rain games where we make golf look like he was dealing a wizardry there. We looked bad that game. And it's one of these things where you have to make sure this doesn't happen during this. And that's just on the defensive side of things. When you look at the offense, they have to be consistent. They have to run the ball. They have to get into play action situations where you can let Carson take his shots.
Yeah. He's got to take his shots because I'm
talking about running the ball where you're getting, you're running the ball 3 to 4 times. You're getting 6 yards, 5 yards, 7, where you get them on their heels going back. Like, all right, they're going to run the ball where he's able to go down the field to Reger or Fulgham or whoever it may be at that point in time. You have to find ways to let Carson be who he is and let this team find its identity in that sense. Because we already know what Doug wants to be. He wants to be the team to play off the play action and go for the shots in the field.
Yeah. I mean, again, finding that balance. Hard to do the play action with the line play being swapped up all the time, but it's got to happen.
I don't think Carson's seeing ghost rushers. I just think it's one of those things where he thinks that he can get out of any sack situation. That's where I think he just has to know when to either just get up underneath it and get it out of there, or throw it away, or just tuck down and get what you can get. That's another one of these things where I know fans don't want to talk about it, but it's one of the things that makes Carson so special, that makes him the guy that he is because his ability to make those runs, to make those runs where things break down. And we want him to throw it away instead of because of what happened in 2017 with the injury. I get that, but you can't stop letting him be who he is in that same sense. Do it smart. But don't sit there and do it to the point of putting yourself in the injury where we're going to be in this situation where you're on the shelf for another 16 months. You can't afford that, nor can this team afford that.
No, they can't handcuff him. They've got to find ways to, like you said, let him be him. He's a deep ball guy, always has been, always will be. He's got a cannon for an arm, so.
Mr. Nobody. He thinks Carson is a runner. He's also gotten hurt almost every year. I think Jalen Hurts is the new rusher or gadget guy. My money is on Carson to become more accurate next year. Carson's thing, his mechanics haven't always been great. He tends to break down in some situations. It's kind of what he kind of reverts to some things where, I think we even seen it during, I think it was I think it was the San Francisco game. He was out there doing the whole Dak dance thing. He was doing that before the game. I'm like, oh, here we go. So it's one of these things that I think it's more what gets him in trouble is more mechanical than him just making really, really poor decisions on top of it too. Like, he has the guns. What?
He's got the strength.
But it's also the ego sometimes where he thinks he could fit it into a window that no one else can do.
I think it's a lot of ego because you got to think about it. Why is he trying to break these tackles? Why is he trying to spit the ball?
They haven't. Is it them putting the ball down the field, stretching the field with play action kind of been their identity? So what do you mean that hasn't been their identity? They haven't had one. They have. I mean, really, if you want to say the last 3 years, their identity is proving everyone wrong and coming back in the second half of the season is what their identity's been.
Right.
But
the comeback kids.
Now, looking at it, you look at what this NFL season is. We're getting into more people, more teams having positive tests, and there's the threat of them bubbling it and kind of doing another format. Do you think that's actually going to happen? Or do you think they're going to try to push this as long as they can with their kind of current way they're going about it?
They're going to push it. They're going to push it as far as they can, as long as they can, without creating a bubble. Because different for the NBA, but for football, you want to talk about teams being lost? Bad enough they're used to playing with fans and there's no fans. But I mean, they're going to push this out as long as they can. If the season has to get elongated to do it, they'll do it. But the NFL going in a bubble won't happen. Won't happen.
Now, we're getting ready. I think tomorrow is Breeze and Brady, ain't it? Now they've both been trading weeks back and forth, breaking the Peyton Manning's touchdown record, which is long gone now.
Yeah. Yeah.
What are your thoughts on these two, and which one do you think is actually going to wind up calling it quit? You think they both call quits at the same time, or one of the others going to last a season or two longer?
Nope. I see Drew Brees calling it quits before Tom Brady, because Tom Brady does not know how to quit. He doesn't know how to stop. It's not in his DNA. Now, mind you, Drew Brees is a winner, and I'm not saying he's a quitter, but it's just a simple fact that, like, when you sit back and look, Tom takes care of his body different than Drew. Tom is bigger than Drew. Drew has done amazing things for being an undersized quarterback. People seem to forget that man is not big at all. He is a small dude. So the things that he's done over this long period of time, look, man, check this out. Have you a cool season and ride off into the sunset, at the end of this year. Do that. Because basically what you don't
I think there's a good possibility that's going to be the finals. What we're going to see in the NFC Championship game.
Oh yes. I could see that. And then that would be a complete swan song for Drew to say goodnight and ride off into the sunset.
So you say the Buccaneers are going to the Super Bowl? Is that what you're telling me right now? Come on, man. I don't want to deal with that.
Hold on.
I don't want to deal with that.
I don't want to see it either. I don't want to see Tom Brady in another damn Super Bowl. I don't want to see it. I don't. I look, in my heart, no. Anybody can win the Super Bowl with Tom Brady. Not really. But damn. Look
now,
at the AD. Like
now.
And they play defense.
No, they do have a good defense, and I still think. I mean, I don't know if Tom's going to be able to pull it off and get out there. I do think that very well could be your NFC Championship. My question is, can the Steelers keep this magic up? Like, listen, I said at the beginning of the year, like I was like, listen, they're going to be one of these teams. They're going to surprise everyone. They're going to give everyone I think they're better than the Ravens right now. They're having a better season than the Ravens right now. I think people are starting to catch up to Lamar Jackson. The question is, can Mike Tomlin do this against Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes? Can he do it against them?
There is your AFC Championship game. That is the AFC Championship game, hands down, bar none.
So you're saying that no one's gonna be able to stop them too. It's gonna be that they're writing the dance tickets right now.
Book your hotels. It's going to happen. Look, the Steelers are playing out of their mind. They're on a different level right now. The only other team that consistently shows Kansas City gets bored in games. It's crazy to think that in 2020, you get a team that gets bored in the middle of a game. You're bored like, well, damn, okay. Fine, we got to win this one. All right, we'll score 21 points in a quarter and walk off the field. It's stupid what they do to teams. It really is. So when you sit back and look at it, that's your AFC Championship game. I can tell you this much: it's going to be one hell of a Super Bowl this year, regardless if the Steelers get in, KC gets in, or if Tampa Bay or New Orleans gets in.
Now I'm going to throw you a wild card into the whole Tampa Bay New Orleans thing. Are you forgetting what Russell Wilson is doing this year in Seattle? Now I know I'm the one that brought it up because that's kind of the matchup we were just talking about with Brady and Breeze. But what Russ wins
MVP and loses in the playoffs. As sad as that is to say, but he's finally going to get his MVP. Finally, he's finally going to get it. He hasn't got it so far. He gets it this year, but no ring with that MVP. It's not going to happen. Playoff football says you have to have a consistent running attack. They don't have one. Russ has got to throw the ball to save them. Don't see that happening in the second round of the playoffs.
Anthony has a different take on what we look forward to our projections, and he says it's the Titans and Bucks.
Titans. Look. I like the Titans.
Wait. How do you then? I think you got that one a little mixed up there, Anthony. How do you have the Titans and the Bucks, and then the Packers and the Seahawks in the NFC? You just missed something there.
There was a misprint on the Bucks.
I guess he when he says Bucks, he meant Steelers. I got you. It's all right.
I love the Titans.
I don't think they're gonna turn it around. That listen, Travis Henry is the man. He is the man, but I don't think he's gonna be able to carry them to another AFC title this year.
Tannehill's is becoming a really good quarterback. He's not great yet. Is he consistent? Probably one of the most consistent quarterbacks.
That says the last 4 teams in the NFC will be Tampa Bay, New Orleans, Green Bay, and Seattle.
I second that.
Does Green Bay really do it, or does someone else find a way to slip in?
Green Bay Green Bay's got the talent. The only problem is which defense shows up. What Green Bay defense shows up?
What happened last week against Minnesota was inexcusable. Inexcusable. How do you let? I mean, listen. Dalvin Cook is a legit NFL running back, but how do you let that man do that to you?
He look. He basically Swiss cheese the cheese. He really did. I mean,
that's fair.
But see, you got to look at it. There will be a lot of teams in these divisions going to play spoiler roles. The only thing is with that, though, Green Bay has enough talent to be in the Final Four going in. They do. They have enough talent, but their running game is starting to come on. The key to Green Bay, if their number one receiver gets hurt one more time, if he misses any time at all, they're dead. And I don't care. Look, they're going to have to bring back Brett Favre, Bart Starr. They're going to have to bring back everybody to play quarterback at the same time to beat teams. Because Adams is the beast.
I'll just say, if the Bucks better hope that they don't get matched up with Seattle, and that it's New Orleans that takes Seattle out again. Because I still like that matchup with Pete Carroll versus Tom Brady. I like that matchup.
Yes, look, that will be a fun one. That'll be a fun one for the fans. It really will.
Seattle, listen, Pete Carroll has to not get in his own way. When they get into, if he lets Russ be Russ during the playoffs and stop, just trying to be cute with it and playing too much chess, I think that they can wind up, maybe make it a pushing a team like Green Bay out of there or the Saints out of there and giving the Bucks a real problem. We'll see. Yeah. Like I said, I still think it's a coin toss on Pittsburgh and Kansas City. We'll see what moving forward. We'll see what happens with the rest of the season. I really do hope we don't have to have a bubble format and then they kind of nix the end of the season and do like a 16 team play. I really don't want to see that. I don't.
They've been talking about a playoff for a while, and the only reason why they've been talking about it is because it would make more money. So I mean, at the end of the day, for the fan, no, don't like it either. But from their perspective, is it a moneymaker? Oh, most definitely. But then again, you have the problem of good teams who deserve to be somewhere. All you got to do is lose once. Bye-bye.
Yeah, man. That's the beauty part about the playoffs. But don't know how they were going to work that. But either way, money or not, I would rather keep things the way they are until it's absolutely necessary.
Definitely. And Mr. Rogers, yes, Mr. Rogers and his neighborhood is a very beautiful thing. It really is. But the only problem is they double that man and he still catches balls. They don't have anybody else to go to that can get doubles and still catch balls. They don't.
To your Green Bay point.
Mm-hmm.
And that's another thing. We play them in Green Bay, so we'll have to see what happens. So when you see that matchup later on, and you see if that trend continues from I think the last two times we went to Green Bay, we won. If I'm not mistaken, or I might be 1-1. I'm not sure. But I know the last Carson's remember for that late game Green Bay run last year. So
yes. But yeah, I mean, look, Adams is a monster. You got to triple cover him. Because doubling's not working because everybody's already double covering.
Yeah, but if Slay's healthy, I think Slay can keep him within wraps where he's not gonna really burn you that much.
I agree.
But also, you don't know what's going on with Slay right now. Like I said, he's been nicked up a few times this season.
Yeah. And Adams is a physical receiver, so
you got to be careful and see what you got there. Not sure what's going on with Britannia. I think she might have gotten either time zones mixed up or something. But I guess let's talk some basketball real quick. If she comes on in the second hour or not, we'll talk some
Okay.
MMA and some bare knuckle boxing. But obviously, NBA made the announcement we're gonna get a 72 game basketball season right around Christmas, so we still get the holidays with the NBA. And, obviously he's going to be breaking right around time for the Olympics. So I'm asking you, Mr. Johnny Guanum, what are your thoughts on that? Because you all know how the NBA and the Olympics, the Summer Olympics, works hand in hand.
Yep.
So how's that going to work for some guys? Are you going to see maybe a little bit of a watered down Olympic team this season, just for the simple fact of how everything ran with coronavirus last year? How it's going to be kind of a late start, shortened season, pushing up against the start of the Olympics, and
you're going to see an old school Olympic team of mainly college athletes. So it's going to go back to the old school. Why? Because those guys got to play. You can't work them out. So guess what? There's the Olympics. There's your workout. So there's your tryout. There's your combine. It's going to be the Olympics. And this in the bubble thing is working for them. The only problem is 72 games works out great. But the beginning of the season is going to be watered down. Why? Because you're going to have key players that are going to say, I'll miss checks. They make enough money to miss checks. Like, okay, so I don't want to come in because I miss my family. I get it. They were away for like 3 months, 4 months, locked away. I mean, that's a different environment, and you're still playing basketball, and you're still getting paid, so you're playing the sport you love, and you're making a ridiculous amount of money. But at the end of the day, what psychological toll does that take on you, and then how does that affect your game? You know what I mean? Like, so 72 games, they've been trying to shorten the NBA season for the past 5 years. So that's nothing new. That's nothing new whatsoever. Here's the thing, though. Are they going to keep it in the bubble format? Or are they going to now try to go back to playing games in arenas?
That's probably the biggest thing. And also, I guess Matthew here is absolutely doubting the fact that we'll even have an Olympics, I guess, because everything that's still going on worldwide with Corona and,
You do know where the Olympics is being held, right? So I think we're going to have one. I think it's going to happen. I do. Look, world economies depend on certain world events. That's one of those events. Kind of like the NBA would lose $1 billion if they don't start in December. $1 billion. And I'm not talking about no, $1 billion. No, real talk, $1 billion. They're going to start. They don't care who show up. We'll play with we'll go to the Gatorade team, bring them in.
I mean, it's one of these things where I do think we'll get an Olympics. I like the idea of maybe not having NBA players this year because, even you look at, prior as we go into this offseason draft and everything like that, it's going to be really rough because you haven't really was able to get a good look at guys for what? The last 6 months. So you're going to have to be going off of workouts and, it's kind of a weird situation. So I still think it gives the NBA a unique opportunity to, like you said, go old school, let it be all, these college seniors and sophomores whose seasons have been cut short, stopped, etc., to, give them a worldwide platform to kind of show. And even the guys that aren't going to make it in the NBA, even give them the opportunities for some of these leagues overseas and etc. to kind of give them an opportunity because a lot of them we lost the NCAA tournament, we lost the NTAs. I mean that was a huge loss to NCAA college basketball athletics.
No dance. There wasn't a dance. So You can't look doing the combine. You can't put these guys out. What better way to test them against international competition, which plays a completely different brand of ball? Completely different ball. Mind you, you're still going to be playing against NBA guys who are going to go home and play for their home countries. So they're going to play against top-level talent. The world has gone up to America when it comes to basketball. You've got the regular proteins.
You're breaking up there a little bit there, Johnny. Hold on, let me see if I can fix that there.
Good.
Yeah, you sound real choppy. Is it choppy on my end?
No, perfectly.
Ah, there we go. Internet gate part 2, and we just freaking lost you there, brother. But yeah, I mean, Matt, any word on G League plans this year, and maybe some of those guys compete for the USA national team? I'm not sure what the G League plans are. And oh my God, there you go, Matt. Johnny 5 is live, dropping a short circuit line because he was definitely sounding like Johnny 5 right there. I gotta give you that name drop there. Bravo, Matt. Bravo.
Jeremy, and after that station identification break.
No. Look at this one. You have to give Matt some props.
I need more data, baby. Data, baby. Johnny 5 is alive. Yes. Live and direct, baby.
Oh man, I love that. I had to give Matt his love there because you were definitely sounding like Johnny 5 there for a minute. especially part 2 when he was dying. Internet Gate 2.0. I got you. But Matt wanted to know right before that if we heard anything about G League and those guys compete for the USA national team and stuff like that. So like I said, I'm liking the fact that we can have some of the younger guys doing the international stuff this year, because it's going to be a mess. You either going to have team guys, or you're going to lose guys during a potential playoff, NBA finals run. You're not going to want to have guys that really want to commit, and then you're going to leave the USA team in limbo. So I think you're better off going with that option.
Well, and plus injuries. Don't forget injuries. The last thing the NBA needs is to turn into the NFL.
Now, on the other side of things, free agency starts on, I think, November 18th. Like I said, I really don't see the Sixers making free agent signings. It's one of these things also where I actually wanted to get your opinion, because, I've even called for it at some point in time. That was under that, if we were sticking with that regime, I did call for a breakup of the process here in Philadelphia. But from the sounds of what I'm hearing from, Doc, and I would like to kind of see what a fresh look with these guys for at least 2 years would look with the fact that, knowing that the guys that are kind of more on the trading block right now, or Josh Richards or Al Horford, Tobias Harris, or guys you can see to try to move to get them an additional piece to make that work. And I think a guy, and then look at who they brought in the front office and coaching staff. Even today, I think they signed Popeye Jones as another guy that the Sixers has, another basketball mind that they have in there. On top of what Doc is already doing, I think you have a lot of guys going in that way. I think all it does is help a guy like when the Sixers are looking to get more out of a guy like Ben Simmons, and then you hear these nonsense trade rumors, freaking James Harden for Ben Simmons. Stop it, would you please?
Look, James.
I mean, I even heard some stuff recently. I think it was Devin Booker was the recent one, because he wants out of Phoenix, and that's kind of a little bit more realistic, but it's not quite on the defensive end. And even if Ben Simmons still never gets a shot, his ability to get to the rim and do other things. If you find another shooter to kind of move Ben in another position, put him in another position on the floor, at least as your alignment when you're on the floor, it gives you a different look to get another guy to continue to make this work. I think they can make it work under this coach, under what I think I'm looking at moving forward.
Ben Ben's got to move positions. You're absolutely positively correct. He needs to move positions. They need to bring in a point guard, a true point guard. Let Ben attack the rim. It's what he's good at. He's great at it. Plus, him attacking the rim, he's got passing skills. He can pass it out. So, I mean, you move him to the 2 or even possibly the 3, depending on what set you're running. That changes the game right there. And then you've got a true point guard running the point. And, of course, the nice thing about Embiid is he doesn't need the ball all the time. Of course, getting him the ball is a beautiful thing. Watching him in the post is truly a thing of art. But he doesn't need to have the ball in his hands all the time. So at that point, you slide Ben over and let him attack. Let him do what he does. Look, D-Wade did not take a whole bunch of jumpers when D-Wade first came into the league, now did he? No. D-Wade was called Slash for a reason because he cut you up. He was getting in the paint, doing his thing. Ben Simmons is a bigger version of that. And hopefully his game develops to that, to where he starts to develop that 3. Ben Simmons could be a deadly 2. Deadly.
I agree. But no, we do not need Russell Westbrook. We don't need him.
Russ and Embiid cannot exist in the same locker room.
That I'll sign up to.
Yes.
Give me Rondo. Rondo. I'm with that. With that.
Yes. All day.
I'm with that, Robert.
All day. Floor general, all day. He's an old school classic point guard who, again, I shoot when I have to shoot. Other than that, I'm serving dimes, baby. That's what I do. So, and
there's nothing wrong with these teams because you have Joe who's not a bad ball handler for a center. You already got Ben Simmons. We already know he's got this skills. You add a guy like Rondo. I mean, Rondo doesn't even necessarily have to be a starter. He could be one of your guys that you can work off the benches, and you can go fill in another piece to kind of work in there. But you know,
he wouldn't cost you a lot. He wouldn't.
The question is he being brought back?
Oh, look, if the Lakers were smart, you bring him back. You really bring him back. Okay, who do they replace him with? That doesn't need the ball in his hands.
But we already have that. If you've already think about it, we have that, and you already have a guy that does that in Ben.
Yeah. I mean,
listen, it's not like I don't appreciate, James Harden or Westbrook or anything like that. I just don't think that those two pieces are going to work well with what you're trying to do with Ben and Joel.
Look,
granted, you do need it. You need another piece. You need a legit shooter, but you still can make what you have. Like I said, you have to, in my opinion, you have to give Doc 2 years with them too. You have to. That's what you got to say, Matt. Here, need to see what they can do together at least one more year. I'm saying they're saying 2, but that's just me. I mean, I was one of these guys that was calling him for it to be ripped apart. Doc is a real basketball guy. Maybe he can make more out of Ben. I agree. On top of the other guys that he's brought in, I think so. Can get him 22 points a game guy, and he doesn't necessarily have to be a 22 points a game guy if he's giving you more than 10 assists a game. He doesn't have to be.
Right.
If he's giving you 10, 10, and 10, thanks, Ben.
Oh yeah.
I mean, all right, let's say 10, 20, and 10. Let me stand corrected. I mean, keep developing defensively. I mean, how do you develop that man more defensively, Matt? Tell me, because I mean, I think he's pretty much up there. Well, he's one of the top 5 defenders in the league, if maybe higher. But yeah, he does have to take a few more shots. He has to believe in his shot. Make or miss, you have Joel Embiid under the basket for a reason. Just make sure you don't have him, one of those ones where it goes shoots 20 feet up in the air. Other than that, we'll be all right.
Well,
I don't think he has to create more for his teammates, but let's go, brother. Let's go.
Move him to the 2.
Now, there's another option. We've been seeing his name thrown around a lot. Is Chris Paul's name being thrown around, but not the classic point. But do you really need the classic point? You just need somebody who can give you, a decent percentage from his shooting game.
He is a throwback point guard that can score. So he's not your atypical traditional point, but if he doesn't score more than 10 points, he's going to have almost 20 dimes. So, and he's done that throughout his career. I mean, there were many games where, especially when he was playing for New Orleans, he might have 12 points, 18 assists, 8 boards. 8 boards. That man is a midget amongst giants, averaging 4 or 5 rebounds a game. I mean, he would be an excellent addition. I definitely sign off on that. Chris Paul, for sure.
Now,
and he's a leader in that locker room. They need someone to step up in that locker room and know when to light fires and when to put the foot in somebody's ass. They need that. That's a good one. That's a good one.
I mean, I do like the option of Chris. I guess my thing is who do you think is the move? Like if you're putting if Johnny Quantum's over here putting his Philadelphia Sixers GM hat on, you're starting to get calls. We're getting toward the offseason. Who are you moving? What are you trying to do to make this team get over that hump, get to the NBA Finals, and win a championship within the next 2 seasons?
Honestly, after deliberating with the council, I have decided to definitely pull the trigger on the Chris Paul move. Here's why. Because if he goes to Milwaukee, it's over. It's over. It's over. It's a wrap. It's a wrap. Look, Milwaukee's going to have to make some moves. They're going to have to get somebody because Giannis will be bye-bye.
There's the other part of that. I actually don't think that's going to be an issue because I think Giannis is out and he's done with Milwaukee.
If they can bring somebody in, like if they get Chris Paul and Giannis makes it to the finals, Giannis goes nowhere. He stays right where he's at, but he needs a final appearance. And that's the point guard to go get. That's the player to go get.
I think they all need to go, Anthony. I think Harris needs to go. Horford needs to go. Mike Scott needs to go. Josh needs to go. You need some stuff going on here. Oh man, here's a throwback name for you. Look at this one, bro. Look who's saying what's up, brother.
Hey, what's going on, Mr. Cruz? You know the drill, baby. That is a blast from the past, baby.
What is up, Anthony? We'll be getting into some combat sports talk here in a minute. So hold tight here while we finish up some basketball talk. But yeah, Scott, Horford, Tobias.
Well,
you need to get some. You need to free up some room to make some things happen, and you also need to get better on the bench. The question is, do you move picks and is Thibault still here because he's one of these guys? And are you going to continue to work at and try to see if the Shake Milton project will work?
Well, I mean, you're not exactly in a win now situation, but you are in a win now situation because the East is becoming highly competitive with Miami all of a sudden showing up. So we
allow that to happen too. Another one of these things. Why are we letting our stars go to Miami? I don't know.
Look,
I know it's warmer there in the winter, but come on, guys. We more passionate. We show more love. Come on.
Look. It's some taxes, man. When you make it millions, the taxes come in. No tax? Oh, I'm in.
Oh man. Yeah, it's definitely all good, Anthony. We're gonna get to it in a minute. But I
mean, what do you think? I mean, what do you think?
I already said who I said they need to go. Chris Paul, I'm down. Rondo, I'm down. Not with bringing in Westbrook, not with bringing in Harden. If the Booker thing is real, I don't know. See what it would take. See what it would take. Maybe you don't have to lose somebody like a Ben Simmons. Maybe you could you package something up where it's Tobias, a pick this year, a pick next year, and Al Horford, and you get to lose some cap space and do some things because it's not one of those things where we're trying to trade for him. He wants out of Phoenix, so maybe kick tires and see what's there. I would not offer Ben Simmons in that trade. I would not offer Joel Embiid in that trade, or anyone, or either one of the two in a trade this season.
You give up your draft life for the next 5 years, because if you don't, you're going to have to give up Ben or Joel. One of them is going to have to go to get Devin. It's just that simple. But again,
to your point, Miami, Milwaukee, Indiana, Toronto, and Orlando. Orlando is another sleeper too, because there's another one of our mistakes with Fulgham. Or folks.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I mean, again, you look at it, and it's like you're not in a win now, but you're in a win now.
Yeah.
So you bring in a veteran leader at the point, Rondo or Chris Paul. I definitely sign off on those two things for sure.
And Philly fans have absolutely no chill, and I love y'all.
Hey! I think she'd be down. I think she'd be down. I think she'd be down with it.
Oh my!
I think she'd be with it.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things, I guess, like you still have to see who's out there, what's in the trade, and you still have to see what some of these guys are looking at, where it's not some of these bigger name moves, but things that kind of make sense team wise, like what this coaching staff is going to do with this team moving forward. So some of these things were, and the guy they brought in for basketball operation likes to wheel and deal. So we'll see what happens here.
Well, here's my thing with the Chris Paul thing. I love Chris Paul. I think he'd be great for their locker room. I think he'd be great as a floor general. Rondo's much cheaper and is not going to get paid $44 million at 36 years old. Wow. Wow.
Yeah, and again, I would, if Rondo walks, which I don't think he walks, that's why I didn't really kind of bring him up in this part of the topic, is I just don't see him being available. I think LA is going to keep on to him, and he's not. It's either that or we're going to have to offer him something where he shouldn't be paid here.
Give him a second round pick. Have a good day.
Oh man, would you guys stop?
hey, like you said, Philly fans, no chip.
And that's why y'all really love us. When y'all really hate us, sometimes it's because y'all know y'all love us.
Hey, having no filter isn't a bad thing sometimes. Just saying.
Yeah, it definitely isn't a bad thing, and I do think he has Kobe-like instincts, but again, it's one of those things where we're not attaching legends' names to some of these current players just quite like that yet. Robert, I've already kind of laid out my displeasure with what a lot of people are doing with Travis Fulgham, regardless of if it's going to be warranted in the long run or not. I still think it's a little bit early to do that. Let's kind of give the same respect with Kobe when it comes to Mr. Booker.
Look, Devin Booker can score, but he has no choice. His team has been garbage. He got drafted to garbage, hot garbage. And guess what? It's still hot garbage. Okay, did they play out of their minds in the bubble? They surely did. And they hope to stay in a bubble the rest of their life. Because guess what? They suck. So,
there's no way in hell that we're gonna get Dame Lillard. Like I said, under my pretenses, Ben and Joe stays.
Look, man, Dame Dollar stays in Portland until he dies, and then he gets a job with them. He will be a trailblazer till forever and ever and ever and ever and ever. Never.
You think about this one. If the Lakers let Wanda walk, the Warriors will take back the West easily and think they will have a major resurgence. See, here's the question about the West: is who all right, we know the Clippers kind of played down in the bubble. They played down in the bubble. Let's be honest.
They played down in the bubble. Look, man, check it out. The Clippers are a mirage. They're that thing you see in the desert, and you look and you thought you saw something. You really thought you saw something until you get there and realize that it's not there. And then you look further down and you see it again. And it's still not there when you get there. Look, Golden State, people forget Golden State's got a top pick in the draft. And they're getting everybody back healthy. Do you understand the Lakers are not built to beat Golden State? They're not. They were built to beat the Clippers. That they did. But I'll tell you what right now, Clay and the boys will shoot the brakes off the Lakers. And I love me some LeBron. I love me some AD. Shooting is too inconsistent when you're playing against marksmen who are shooting jumpers right now. Jail Blazers. No chill, baby. No chill. Yeah. I mean, you're talking about getting the top pick in the draft. That's unfair. It's unfair that Golden State's going to get a top pick in the draft that they want to trade away to get somebody big.
What would you think if that's where Yannick, or not? Yeah, why am I sitting there saying where you see some situation where, yeah.
Look. If Giannis was to go out west, and just to say, if Giannis was to go to Golden State, LeBron should retire. Just retire. Look, for the wrap. When that trade gets done, LeBron, look, I'm done. It's a young man's game. I'm outro. Because they might lose 2-3 games the whole season, break the record, and
break their record.
Look, and sweep everybody in the playoffs. Everyone. The one thing.
Well, they're in a position to be able to kind of put something together to do that.
Yes, they are. And that would be. Look, you want to talk about a super team? Nothing has ever been assembled like that. Because here's the funny part: Giannis can play the 4 or the 5, and if he plays the 5 out west, really.
That's a triple-double every game.
Every game. Look.
I'm not even a Giannis guy, dude. I'm really not. I respect this game and just like in the context that we're talking about, dude. It's just insanity, and the fact that they have that to be able to put them in a situation like that, it's crazy. It is crazy.
Oh, easy. 6, 7, 8. I mean, dude, look. When you shoot jump shots for a living and you don't drive to the basket, guys like Steph and Clay can play forever and ever and ever. Look at Reggie Miller.
Now, if Giannis stays and everything stays pat, and the Sixers kind of get a few pieces, do you think Doc Rivers takes this Sixers team to an NBA title within the next 5 years?
They can keep it all intact somehow under the salary cap. Yes. I believe it. Because eventually Ben Simmons will have a jump shot. And he will shoot it regularly. Eventually.
AD is a difference, man. I still think AD was the Finals MVP. He should have been the MVP in my opinion. But it's one of those things where people get thrown up on the LeBron hype, man. So Bron gets the love a little bit more. I still felt that he kind of got a little bit distant in my eyes, at least nationally, for the love he should have got. Anthony Davis was a bigger part of that than LeBron James. I mean, not saying LeBron was the shadow of a man he used to be or anything like that. It's just AD played out of his mind to the point where he should have got his love. And the question is going to really be, what is AD going to do when LeBron leaves in a season or two?
Easy. Here's what's going to happen. Within a season or two, LeBron's going to restructure his deal. They're going to go out and get some talent, and they're just going to keep it rolling. You know what I'm saying? And you're absolutely right. AD should have been MVP of the finals. The only problem is LeBron didn't win the season MVP. So the league felt like, oh, my bad. You should have won that, but you didn't. So we're going to go ahead and give you the finals MVP. It was close, but we're going to give it to you. AD's young. He'll get another one. But yes, I agree with you. AD should have got it.
Yeah. And, obviously Robert thinks and the NBA MVP, but, I think LeBron kind of cemented that cemented some things there.
Well, LeBron is a different animal due to the fact that it's the 17th year. He's still playing at a high level, a ridiculously high world-class level. And
well, I mean, he was a different type of listen, like people tend to forget about it. He was a different type of athlete when he even when he first came into the league, and he was just this young king in the waiting. He's a different. He's even as he's evolved as an NBA. Like his body has evolved, his game has evolved in so many different ways. So like it's one of these things where I get, and it's one of the things where I get really irritated where we throw the GOAT talk around in the NBA, and I seen a post that said it the best. Why can't LeBron be the king? Why can't Kobe be the Mamba? Why can't Jordan be the GOAT? They all had different aspects of different eras, and we're special to that era for different reasons. So it's one of these things where we see it all the time. He's a freakish man, without a doubt. Without a doubt, Robert. He's absolutely a freak of an athlete. And no one's taking that away from him. It's just one of these things. I think we all get sick and tired of hearing this thing that the GOAT talk get thrown around. Like, listen, he's a different type of player.
Very.
And they have their journeys are all different where you could talk, like they all have their own place in NBA history. It's like when we talk, as we're going to get flowing into as things we talk about in combat sports. You can't sit there and talk about Rocky Marciano and then sit there and say like, oh well, Mike Tyson would have beat him. They're different animals. It's different eras, different everything. Like they all have their own place along the lines of history.
Yes, and they each deserve their own place. You know what I mean? I mean, does it make for great barbershop debate? Of course it does. You know what I mean?
We have to hear people's nonsense sometimes. It's some of you people should not have access to social media and weigh those opinions are just. It's just one of those things. They all have their place, man. Like when it comes to that, like I mean, there's some of them like we deem special, and these are the three that we've deemed special over the last 50 years. I think the only other name you could probably throw in there is maybe Dr. J, right?
Yeah.
You could probably throw Tim Duncan in there. There's a couple names you could probably throw in there, but Tim
is as dominant as a player on a different team than San Antonio. Let's be honest. Tim has a different coach. Is he the same?
I don't know, man. Pop developed David Robinson and Duncan. You're trying to tell me that those guys would have been different guys on different teams, Travis.
Okay. Look. Back then, unless you take Tim Duncan and put him on Cleveland, because Doherty was a monster back in the day. You know what I mean? He would have replaced him as the big. Okay, different story. But okay, without David Robinson, Tim did his thing, but like he had a great supporting cast. I gotta say,
oh no, without a doubt, that was a team. And the same thing with Michael, like even though like he was the guy there, they was still, he wouldn't have been able to do what he did without Scottie Pippen or without Cartwright or even without John Paxson. People tend to forget about how important he was to some of the
Pax was nasty.
The tail end of that dynasty. Yeah. So like there's other things that come into play with it, but it was just those are the guys that stick out. Even here, we had guys that fall short a lot of times, Allen Iverson, Charles Barkley, and they almost did it in other places, but it's one of these things where Allen wasn't quite, he just took a beating here in Philadelphia. He just wasn't quite ever the same guy. Once they let his career go to waste and everything like that, and we kind of worn out on him, he'd kind of worn out on us, and even though we still love him, and even Charles, that Phoenix Suns team was no joke. Him and freaking was it Danny Ainge and what was Dave who I forget who was the other forward on that team. I forget. I'm forgetting his name now. But like they all had success, but they could have eventually done it here. But it's one of those things I don't think they would have been any more or less valuable on the other teams moving forward.
The Tim Duncan thing I still think is up for debate.
That's something we could talk about at another time, my friend. But let's move on. We're gonna have some combat sports talk going here. We got bare knuckle boxing coming up, going on the 13th, right? Obviously, I know you're excited about that card. I know. I want to see. Our guest who was supposed to be on. I want to see Miss Hart's fight going in there. I want to see what Lorenzo Hunt's going to do to see if he can follow up that knockout.
Look, there are knockouts. There are knockouts that look, when you're a fighter and you have a knockout like that, it can be a blessing and a curse. Okay, let's take for example Caleb Harris. Caleb Harris is a good fighter, but he had possibly one of the cleanest knockouts that I've seen in a very long time on the feet with the hands. It was so clean, Buddy just literally felt like a statue. When you have knockouts like that, it's almost like you're holding the right hand just to get that again because it's so enticing. It's so alluring to just do it again. Those happen once in a career. Now, mind you, Lorenzo's knocked a lot of people out, so it's not like it's his first knockout. But in that fashion, I still think he's going to win by knockout. I don't think it's going to be as picturesque, though.
Now, I mean, there's a lot of exciting fights on that card. Jim Adler's and Mr. Palomino for that belt is going to be some fireworks.
You want to talk about hate each other? You want to talk about a true disdain for your opponent? Yeah. Oh, and by the way, they get to put their hands on each other.
Why, Robert? So you could have competed. I mean, we all have that feel, especially with a lot of us who grew up, loving that part of hockey, and loving boxing as it come up, and then as a lot of us kind of grew into MMA, like even a lot of us who covered it, like we didn't know what it was in the early days, and some of us didn't necessarily follow it until it kind of came a little bit more mainstream, and you got some faces to kind of go with the sport and stuff like that. But it's one of these things, man. There's no era of MMA I think that is too taboo to talk about. I mean, obviously we're in this part where a lot of people felt that bare knuckle boxing was just this niche thing. It's arrived. It's here. I hate to tell people who don't like it or don't want to see it or think it's too this or that. Like, listen, it's here. It's something that I think. Us as human beings can all, kind of adapt something to take something out of it.
Look,
it's not a niche sport. It has arrived.
Bare knuckle boxing takes it back to that primal essence. It takes it back to that carnal thing in everybody. People say they don't know. Look, we love to watch fighting, but we love blood more. And especially when you don't have to bleed. So at that point, bare knuckle boxing is the fastest growing combat sport in the world, and it will remain that way due to the simple fact that there are no gloves, which means you can almost guarantee somebody about to get cut and a nose about to get busted every single fight. Every single fight. And that bloodlust is there. There's nothing like it. There is nothing like it.
Well, I mean, you can't enjoy it, Rob. Just because you're 62 doesn't mean you can't. I get it, man. I get it. There was a point in time I wanted to get in there just to compete and get that rush and everything like that. And we all get it,
Oh yeah. That competitive edge never goes away. Never.
Now, what do you think is going to be the next thing that kind of really, what's the next fight for bare knuckle boxing, moving forward, that kind of really kind of catch the people's eyes? Like, we've already seen they kind of had the thing with Paulie and Loboff and all that, but we've seen them bringing a lot of guys in. You see what's going on with Chris Lieb and kind of developing that talent out there with the tryouts and stuff like that. And there's a reality show coming that for people who don't know should know there is some stuff going up. So I mean, it's one of these things, like, because you're also kind of, also involved with a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes with bare knuckle boxing too, not necessarily directly with the promotion itself, but just being involved in the sport with the athletes. So I guess my thing is, what do you think is some of the things that is going to kind of get to be on that track to where the UFC was about 5-10 years ago?
Well, I definitely like the trajectory it's on. It's moving faster than the UFC did, and it can because of course, we're in a digital era now.
Yes, sir.
It's going to move a lot faster. Now, I think once they actually fill up all their weight classes, once they have these tournaments to decide their champions, and once it's solidified on who these people are, and the ranking system if people are now familiar with it and know exactly the criteria for it, I really think that's going to put things over the top. Because I'll tell you what, right now, like the Nguyen Barnett fight, woo, that's fight of the night, baby. And
man, I'm really, yeah. Win is definitely a legit guy, and Barnett is a monster.
The educated hand
monster.
People, that's what he do.
Now, I get developing these things, but do you think there's going to come a time where we're going to start seeing, like what we've seen with Bellator and the UFC, start seeing influx from these guys that maybe don't feel like they're getting their due in some of the larger promotions, kind of reach out to somebody like a bare knuckle boxing to kind of get their beak wet, so to speak?
Well, I'll tell you what right now. All right, there are professional boxers, okay, who have fought in BKFC, and they said, I'm going back to boxing. It's different. It's a different animal when you get punched with no glove, knuckle. It's different. It's a completely look when you get caught to the body with a bare fist. Oh, it's way different. It digs and it digs. So will you see it? Of course you'll see it because they want to compete. You know what I mean? So it's gonna happen, and it's already happening. Look at the guys that they've signed. Ask Thiago Alves, prime example. Ask him what it's like. Who did he fight? Julian Lane. Where did he come from? So, I mean, you look at it, that was probably Thiago Alves' hardest fight of his life.
That's probably the worst I've seen him like as wearing it, like as far as like where a lot of people kind of feel Julian Lane's like talent level as an MMA fighter, than you seeing him kind of back it up and kind of look more like
look, bare knuckles where he belongs.
It's definitely where he belonged. I don't think he's more of a Muay Thai guy. I kind of always felt like he's one of these guys that likes to toe the line.
Well, I mean, think about it. That was what was weird with Thiago Alves. I'm like, dude, your kicks are your bread and butter. Kicks. His kicks have stunned guys to get TKOs. I don't think he's ever dropped anybody, like just knocked them out with his hands. So at that point, I'm like, dude, you can't kick. And he found that out. Julian was all up in the business. In my personal opinion, I think Julian won that fight. But that fight took place in Florida.
Now, you brought up Julian. You brought up Julian for a second, so I'm gonna have to bring something up. Is that boy out of his mind trying to pick a fight with David Rickles?
Okay,
because I love him. I love him, and that's some smoke he don't want.
No. David Rickles, after he lost to Michael Venom Page, is a different fighter. He's a different fighter. His walkouts are great. They're legendary and will always be, because that's a creative man. I will give him that. But bare knuckle is different. He's just getting used to it. I give it 3 rounds, and Julian takes his milk money. 3 rounds.
I don't know. I guess we'll have to see if the fight gets made, and sign me up. Sign me up.
At the end of the day, I'm looking. Can he still fight? Yeah, but dude, this bare knuckle thing, look, there are people born for this. People born for it. Like, prime example, Joe Elmore, born bare knuckle. Born. If bare knuckle would have been a thing, he never would have did MMA. He never would have did kickboxing. Never would have did jiu-jitsu. Never. He is a fighter's fighter. Point blank. That's what bare knuckle is. Oh, and you get to half plumb too. Oh, so wait, I get to grab you behind the back of the head, suck you in, and beat you senseless with uppercuts. Chris Lieben mastered that. Mastered it. So
I'm definitely liking, I'm definitely going to be tuning in this week. Make sure I catch that one. Definitely looking forward to what Dave has already built, the reality show, everything that's going to be kind of coming down the woodworks. But let's also not forget, there is a UFC fight tonight. I'd be remiss not to speak of it. And one of the straw. I still think one of the baddest strawweights out there. You love her, hate her, indifferent. Claudia Gadelha is always fun to watch, and she's going in there against Yan, and that's gonna be a barn burner.
I think Claudia wins that fight. I think it's just due to the simple fact that Yan doesn't know how to back up, and I got a feeling she's gonna walk into some things. I'm just saying. Yeah. I mean, as small as Claudia is, she is a brick though. And she's been in wars. Like wars. Put it this way. Any woman want to step in there in that weight class or close to it with Joanna Jędrzejczyk and survive? Hats off to you. She's been in wars. Wars.
Yeah. Claudia's, like I said, like love her, hate her, indifferent. She's legit. She's one of the top strawweights in the world for an absolute reason. Definitely looking forward to that fight. And then Mr. Asia's Wonder himself is freaking still in main events. Andre Arlovski and Tanner Bose are going to be going at it. How does Andre we're talking about Tom Brady just doesn't know that? Does Andre know how to quit?
No.
He survived the TRT era with getting starched by guys he probably were juiced beyond the gills.
Yes,
and
he's found. Honestly, I think he's found a resurgence. I think he's somewhere found the fountain of youth. Somewhere he found his chin.
That disappeared. That disappeared for a while.
He was getting ding ding like chin checked out, like it just checked out early. Like early checkout at the hotel, your chin is gone, bro. And
probably had to do with Anthony Johnson broke the damn thing, but let's regress on that one.
That is a look. I've met that man on multiple occasions, and I met him when he wasn't fighting, and I'd say he was probably at about 240 pounds. That man is gigantic.
Yeah, I met him in shape at I think it was UFC 101. So he was still walking around probably in middleweight, as he was still having trouble making welterweight. And then when he was working with World Series of Fighting, I seen him a couple times for that, and just seen him.
Dude, look. I am awaiting his return to the UFC, because basically without John Jones there, he's got a straight shot to the title because he knocks every single. Oh, and people forget he can wrestle too. So he has no problem getting to a title. None whatsoever. I don't care who's got it. They better have
you think actually Anthony's actually going to make another run in the UFC?
Yes, I do believe he'll make another run in the UFC.
You got some news that we don't know that you want to share with us, Mr. Travis?
No, just look. He's been training. He looks good. His weight's been consistent. I'm not sure if he's gone into the USADA protocol or not. Don't think so. But it's just the fact that when you start to work out, like I knew Carlos Condit was going to come back and fight when I saw he was making workout videos.
Oh, I can't wait. You know me. That's my man, dude.
Oh, MBK is the beat. Look.
I still want to see him. I want to see him and Little Diaz run at this time. We already seen him and Nick. Let's see him and Nate. Please sign me up right now.
Yes,
please.
Yes,
please.
I'm buying that all day. That would
like everyone's sitting there. Oh, I want to see him and Hardy. I'm like, no. Give me him and Nate, please.
Him and Nate.
Take my money. Take my money.
Yeah. You have me at hello. Take my money. Take it.
Now, we're seeing more of the super fight thing happen. It looks like Jan and Israel is going to happen. Is that going to entice Mr. Jones even more from his normal rantings or no?
Look, this is happening, and John allowed this to happen. He allowed this to happen, and he's not going to come back down to fight him. He's going to stay at heavyweight. He's going to stay there.
No, Robert, we want Nate. Nick has other plans. We want Nate. We've already seen that one. We want Nate now. And as much as I love Nick, I still think Nate has kind of evolved into the better fighter. Nick kind of puts himself in positions where if it's not his game plan, he's not quite the same fighter. Where Nate, he still finds ways to make fights happen, even when it's the game plan isn't kind of working in his favor.
Well, you got to think. He's Nick. Look, Nate is Nick 2.0.
McGregor and Poirier will be good. The question is, will it have a different outcome? You don't know what Conor McGregor is going to show up. We've seen what we've seen out of Dustin Poirier the last few times out there. Excited for it, but not as much. We kind of, we're still in limbo with what's going on with Khabib, if he really does stay retired, if Dana's really kind of badgering him out of retirement to at least go to 30. We don't know if that. Go ahead, bro.
He stays retired. It's a wrap for him. He lives in Dagestan, spending U.S. dollars. He good. There's no need for him to come back at all. He will stay away. That division will be a free.
I already talked about it last week. I'm gonna sit there and get your thoughts. Not the GOAT.
Khabib?
Yeah.
No.
He is the greatest lightweight champion the UFC has had to date.
Yes. Hands down, the greatest lightweight champion to date. And one of the greatest UFC.
And that takes a lot for me to say because I still have Frankie Edgar up on the wall. So it takes a lot for me to say that. Because Frankie was amazing too, but Khabib that's just another level of dominance.
He hasn't done it long enough.
But that was my thing. That's why, I think Khabib is done too, Robert. But it's one of these things where it's hard when you don't have the body work. And John had a quite unfair advantage, having the start long, having the run as long as he did, falling from grace, picking up from grace, and still kind of being able to continue that run. No one has actually physically beaten John.
Oh, wait.
All right, at least wins and losses in his own elbow. You're right. His own elbow defeated him, which we know is nonsense because what stopped the fight wasn't the illegal elbow. It was the fact that when he got taken down, that Matt's shoulder had separated. It had nothing to do with John's elbows. It's the saddest thing that I ever seen on a champion's record that we're still holding on to that.
But that's why. But now you see why Dana calls him to go. Again, you can
Philadelphia. I love you again, brother.
Hey,
But Rob, it's not just the loss of his father. Like that was a sports bond that sometimes when the bond is broken, there's no love for it. It's like one of those things like when you have a child who has like a famous father and some take to it, but some don't. But what happens when you have that father figure and you do a specific thing together, and before you get a chance to realize your dreams in it, the person who's there is gone. It's never the same. And he made concessions to his mother and stuff. I think it's one of those things that should be respected unless Khabib's the one that is pushing for it. Not a promotion, not Dana White, not his team, not his teammates badgering him. Just him wanting to do it for the love of doing it. And that's one of the things that I think people really liked about Khabib was it was about his love of the sport. Where you even seen in his last fight, like not a lot of people really know that both Justin and Khabib are actually pseudo teammates through management. And, he went to the point where like he respects Justin to the point where he didn't break his arm. He went for the triangle choke where he could have clearly went for the arm bar and just did what he had to do.
Yeah. Oh, well, the story behind that was crazy when that broke. I was like, wow. He's like, well, I didn't want to break his arm in front of his family because he said he wasn't going to tap. So I put him to sleep.
But I still think it's not just that. It's also the respect thing to, like I said, being kind of
the arm
brothers in that spot.
He easily he could have got it twice. He got the same choke twice. The first time he got it.
Well, we've seen that in other fights where he's had submissions, or like he'll have a submission and like he knows this guy's gonna tap through it, so he'll go back to beating on the guy and like literally start talking to him like, come on, you want to quit, just give up. I got this.
I mean, when you again. One of the most dominant UFC fighters, one of the most dominant UFC champions ever, but the GOAT. Now, mind you, if Khabib went on like a 3-year run, fighting 3 times a year, that's 12 fights. At that point, yeah, hands down, that's a bad man. Better than any other. But he didn't do that. And for whatever reason, I also honor and respect what he's done.
Yeah.
You got to tip your hat to the man. I don't even know if I would have took a fight after that if I was him. Seriously. So what it took mentally for him to get in there with a missing piece, that's almost like he was fighting with one arm. He was missing an appendage, and that appendage was his father. So I mean, damn, really? So I think he might come back in 2-3 years.
Yeah, like I said, it's one of those things, and I still think there's only one fight that brings him back.
Look, GSP will be too old to do anything in 2-3 years. You know what I'm saying?
Come on, man. That man stays in such shape. You want to believe that it is a possibility, but it's one of these things where I mean, at that point, I think where more would be it wouldn't that he wouldn't do it. I just think there would be no chance for him to beat Khabib.
No,
I think that the window of him being able to beat Khabib is getting smaller and smaller
by the day. Here's why. He can look good. He can be training, and he can be physically fit. He's slower now, and that's a problem. You're fighting Khabib, and if you're not fast enough, he literally – okay, here's what would happen. You're going to have a role reversal if that fight ever happens. Khabib is now going to become GSP, and GSP is going to become Josh Koscheck.
Yo, stop it. Why are you coming at my neck with the Koscheck stuff? You know that's my boy because he's from PA.
I love Josh, but the man got beat up with a jab. He literally got beat to death with one punch.
Dude, and that what makes me mad about that fight is like he thought that he like you knew GSP was gonna stuff the takedown and you didn't have any other game plan besides the takedown. It's like that's all you worked on was your wrestling the fight, and then realizing like, okay, George's sprawl is beyond elite level, and we need to find another route to win this fight. And the only other weapon that he brought in the fight was an overhand right that he never threw.
Well, look, jab. Oh wait, I can't wait. Hold on, now I can't see you. Oh damn, I'm fighting with one eye.
It's not just Robert. It's not just Khabib's ground. It's just a grappling in general. It's not just the ground game. Like the takedowns, and people like legit sleep on sports sambo. Like, dude, listen, having that background is it's almost like one of those things like it's a cross between judo and jiu-jitsu. Like when you're talking about sports sambo, but the difference is that you're actually taught to getting punched in the face the entire time, which is one of those things where I just think it's one of those things that Khabib has at elite level grappling. I think even to the point like even if he's retired now, like, hey, dude, Khabib, go to the Olympics and win an Olympic medal too. Like, easy. I think that's literally the only other thing he has left to do to put himself on another plateau. That's the only thing he can do.
Agreed. Oh,
and I actually think that's something he might do. Like I'm talking about it now, but it's might something we're going to be talking about it, in 6 months to a year, because this could be the reason why he retired.
well,
I mean, I'm just spitballing stuff, but it kind of makes sense if you think about it.
Well, you got to think. Maybe that was a plan him and his dad had. Go 30-0 and then do the Olympics. Win a gold medal and be one of the greatest to ever do it. Which he already
at that point in time, there would be no question he'd be the greatest lightweight period of anything, like the lower weight classes.
Oh yeah.
Like much as we praise, BJ Penn for how amazing he was and stuff like that during his early runs, like it would make it not even a question anymore.
Yeah, but you know who all of a sudden would come out the woodwork with his trolling behind? Cejudo.
I love Henry. Henry's got a great talk game. The difference is his was much better than Koscheck's, and he has a much better fight resume. Still, he's another one of those guys where you might see make a comeback. Don't think it's on the Olympic level of variety, but I do think he will be back in the UFC at some point in time. But looking at the time, Mr. Johnny Quantum, we're well past the 2-hour mark here, and wanted to, real quick, get ready to wrap things up as we are. I'm not sure what happened with Miss Hart. Well, hopefully we'll get her on, either after her fight, moving forward. But Johnny, I bet as always appreciate the time. Looking at my phone, we got Mr. Anthony Cruz giving us some love there on social media, who's tuning in this afternoon. Talking about the early 2000 days before podcasting was podcasting. Me and you were old throwbacks to this thing, watching this thing kind of develop into something else, and still here, giving people some knowledge, some wisdom, and wanted to give you a minute to kind of let people know what you're getting involved in with, and get ready to kind of wrap this thing up.
All righty. Well, first and foremost, I want to give a big shout out and a big thank you to A2D Radio. Major, thank you so much. Thank you, Steven. Greatly appreciated. I mean, I am back in the game, as you can see. The Johnny Quantum Show is back, baby, live and direct. So, on your social media platforms, definitely be looking for that. Looking to do major things just like I did before. That's how me and Steven met way back when, and that's how we met Mr. Cruz way back.
The MMA Subway, right? That's what it was. Let's get on board, brother.
Well, literally, we've been in this game for a long time. I mean, we're talking double-digit years, so we're over a decade into this. So it's not like this is new to us. Yeah, this is old, we old heads in a we
just evolved inside the game. We involved inside the game, meet some new people, make some new contacts, go upon our own ways.
Oh yeah,
that's the way it goes, brother.
But I mean,
seeing where you go, what you do. Hey, you never know. We could wind up snatching you up, and you wind up here on A2D Radio. Who knows? Who knows what the future holds?
I would be honored to be on A2D. I mean, it's a great platform. I've even chimed in to watch shows and comment and stuff like that. So it's a great platform. You guys do a lot of great work. You know what I'm saying? I mean, technically speaking, I still do have a viable Pennsylvania address. Just saying, the plates on my Honda Pilot say PA, baby.
No. I appreciate the love, brother. As always, appreciate the time. Looking forward to what the future is going to hold for TF and Johnny Quantum. Hopefully, we see you more here around here on A2D Radio. Appreciate the time, but again, we want to show some love to our sponsors before we get off here. And again, our show today was brought to you by our doc, make him your doc, Dr. Paul Vidal, Specialized Physical Therapy LLC, Burlington, Cherry Hill, Princeton location. Find them on the web, specializedphysicaltherapy.com. Also, guys, make sure you're checking out all the gear here on Philly Drinkers, our A2D gear, t-shirts, hats. We got Gaithers, the fall lines coming out. There's that just came out. There's socks. There's fleece blankets. There's fleece hoodies and stuff like that. Make sure you guys are showing us some love And also, I'm doing a little thing because, like I said, I've been getting some stuff off of some athletes that either we've had on the show that I've connected with recently. I got some prizes for our loyal listeners who are tuning in. So make sure you guys are subscribing to the YouTube channel. Make sure you're following the show pages, regardless if it's on Facebook, if it's on Twitter, whatever it is, your poison platform of social media, whatever your choice is. Please make sure you're doing so. And again, appreciate everyone for tuning in. Appreciate Johnny Quantum for hopping on this afternoon. And make sure you guys tune in next week. We got another show lined up for you. I got some more fun guests I've already locked for the end of the month, but make sure you guys are locked in for all our programming. I believe In This Very Ring will be on tonight. If they haven't moved, they should be on at 10 p.m. So all our wrestling fans, make sure you're tuned in. And I'm pretty sure the big dogs will be here Sunday talking some NFL reaction and everything like that. So from me, Steve Rochelle, that was Johnny Quantum. Have a good afternoon, everybody.
Peace.